Welcome to the Bullvine Podcast, your go-to source for inside stories, cutting-edge research, and the latest updates in the world of dairy farming. In our 150th episode, we discover how Genosource CAPTAIN rewrote the rules for modern breeding. So please grab a glass of milk, sit back, and let's get started with this episode.
Welcome to the Bullvine Podcast, where we're tearing apart the playbook of traditional dairy breeding to expose how STgenetics and Genosource engineered a genetic revolution. I'm Bella, joined by Douglas, and today we're dissecting the meteoric rise of Genosource CAPTAIN, a bull who didn't just break records, but rewrote the rules of global dairy genetics. Let's start at the foundation. CAPTAIN's pedigree wasn't a happy accident. It was a surgical strike in genetic engineering. Genosource's strategy began with what insiders call the Charl Coup. While competitors recycled tired North American bloodlines, Genosource raided Europe for overlooked gold. They zeroed in on DG Charlie, a bull dismissed stateside but boasting a plus 4.0 daughter pregnancy rate, 233% above breed average, and 3.41% protein content. But the real masterstroke? Pairing Charlie's son, Hertgenly Richard Charl, with a maternal line designed for nuclear-grade production. Enter Genosource 3, the result of genetics Sabre Gambit. Sabre wasn't just another bull. He was a genomic moonshot. His lineage fused Sudan's maternal durability with Planet Silk's legendary output, all anchored by Seagull Bay Oman Mirror's structural integrity. STgenetics didn't just breed Sabre, they hacked his DNA, avoiding recessive traps with chromosomal mating while amplifying A2A2 milk genes. The result? A $478 colossus whose daughters churn out 32,542 pounds of milk with 85 days open and plus 103 EcoFeed ratings. This wasn't breeding, it was genetic alchemy. But here's where STgenetics shifted from chess masters to conquerors. They weaponized CAPTAIN's genetics through cloning, Jack N, and Johning, and an IVF blitzkrieg deploying 153 daughters in 24 months, 4.6 faster than the industry. Their secret? A donor output index yielding 18-plus embryos per cycle, paired with Ultraplus sex-sorted semen. While rivals fumbled with 6.2 embryos per cycle, STgenetics flooded herds globally, turning CAPTAIN from bull to dynasty.
Let's rip into the anatomy of this domination. CAPTAIN's clones weren't just copies, they were genetic missiles. Jackie N and John ETN replicated his plus 3336 GTPI flawlessly, bypassing years of trial and error breeding. STgenetics didn't just sell semen, they sold certainty. By 2025, 70% of their genomic sales flowed from CAPTAIN's sons, bulls like Jingle, 1350N, and Broach, 1327, while his daughters reshaped herds from Wisconsin to New Zealand. The real disruption? Speed as a weapon. Traditional AI companies needed decades to prove a sire's worth. Genetics compressed it to months. How? By marrying genomics to mass IVF deployment. They identified elite donors, hyper-ovulated them, and bombarded the market with embryos, 18 per cycle versus the industry's pathetic 6.2. This wasn't just efficiency, it was genetic carpet bombing. And the fallout? CAPTAIN's daughters aren't just good, they're profit cyborgs. Their 277 pounds feed savings per lactation/costs, while 5.3 extra months of productive life outmilks competitors. In the UK, daughters like Genosource Bravo 47586E pump 113 pounds day with 5.2% fat, proving CAPTAIN's genetics crush borders. STgenetics didn't just breed a bull, they built a global milk empire. But the coup de grace? Sustainability as a cell. CAPTAIN's EnviroCow index of 4.5 and 3-day gestation cut methane output, turning environmental compliance into profit. In an era of carbon taxes, that's not virtue signaling, it's survival. STgenetics weaponized genomics to future-proof farming, leaving slowpokes choking on their wait-and-see excuses.
Let's gut punch the skeptics. CAPTAIN's 99% reliability score for milk didn't just validate genomics, it buried pedigree worship. While old schoolers clung to proven sires, STgenetics predicted performance with mathematical brutality. The result? A bull whose sons dominate 40% of the top 50 GM dollar rankings, while his daughters birth superstars like Ripcord plus 3399 GTPI. This isn't a bloodline, it's a genetic singularity. But here's the kicker. STgenetics' playbook is replicable. They proved elite genetics can be manufactured at scale, not stumbled upon. By combining European outliers like Charl with IVF factories, they turned scarcity into abundance. The lesson? In modern dairy, speed precision is extinction for the slow. Now, let's dive deeper into how STgenetics has fundamentally revolutionized the speed of genetic deployment. This isn't just an improvement. It's a seismic shift in how we approach dairy genetics. First, their advanced IVF technology. That donor output index isn't just a fancy name, it's a game changer. Producing 18-plus viable embryos per cycle compared to the industry's 6.2 isn't just an improvement. It's a 190% increase. This dramatically accelerates the deployment of elite genetics, compressing generations of progress into mere months. Then there's their strategic cloning approach. By creating Jackie N and Johnny Tien, STgenetics ensured a consistent supply of Captain's elite genetics at scale. This bypasses years of traditional breeding cycles, allowing for rapid dissemination of top-tier genetics. But it's not just about production. It's about deployment. Getting 4,153 Captain daughters on the ground in 24 months is mind-boggling. That's 4.6 times faster than industry averages. This flood of high-quality genetics forced competitors to either overhaul their breeding programs or fade into irrelevance. And let's not overlook their integrated approach. The strategy platform isn't just a catchy name. It's a comprehensive system that combines cutting-edge genetics, innovation-driven programs, and gender-sorted semen to accelerate genetic progress. Tools like Vision Plus, genomic testing, EcoFeed, and chromosomal mating work in concert to drive unprecedented genetic gains. Their Ultraplus technology takes it a step further. As the highest conception rate gender-sorted semen in the industry, it turbocharges the deployment of desired genetics. This isn't just about having great genetics. It's about getting them into herds faster and more efficiently than ever before.
Absolutely, Bella. And the impact of this revolutionary approach extends far beyond individual farms. Captain's worldwide success, #1 in TPI, PLI, and LPI, has accelerated international genetic trade. It's forcing every AI company to think globally from day one or risk being left behind in an increasingly interconnected market. This speed of deployment has slashed generation intervals by a staggering 57%. In practical terms, that means genetic improvements that used to take decades can now be achieved in years. It's not just faster, it's exponentially faster. But perhaps the most revolutionary aspect is how STgenetics has leveraged data-driven decision-making. They're not just guessing or relying on traditional pedigrees. They're using advanced genomic testing and data analytics to identify elite genetics quickly and accurately. This allows for faster deployment of superior traits, creating a feedback loop of rapid improvement. This approach has transformed the AI industry from a steady, traditional business into a high-speed, technology-driven sector. Companies are now in a race to identify and propagate the next genomic superstar, knowing that market leadership can be gained or lost at the speed of genetic replication. The implications are staggering. We're not just talking about better cows. We're talking about reshaping the entire global dairy population in a fraction of the time it would have taken even a decade ago. This has enormous potential for addressing issues like food security, environmental sustainability, and economic efficiency in dairy production worldwide.
You're absolutely right, Douglas. And let's not forget the economic implications. This revolution in speed isn't just about genetic gains, it's about competitive advantage. Farmers who tap into these rapidly improving genetics can see dramatic improvements in their herd's performance in a single generation. We're talking about potential increases in profitability that can make or break a farm in today's tight margins. But it also raises some critical questions for the industry. How do smaller farms keep up with this pace of change? What does this mean for genetic diversity in the global dairy population? And how do we ensure that this rapid deployment is done responsibly with an eye towards long-term sustainability?
Those are crucial points, Bella. It's clear that STgenetics' approach is reshaping the industry, but it's not without challenges. Smaller farms will need to be strategic in how they incorporate these rapidly evolving genetics. It might mean forming cooperatives or partnering with larger entities to access these elite genetics. As for genetic diversity, That's where the global aspect becomes crucial. By tapping into overlooked European genetics like they did with the Charl Coup, STgenetics has actually expanded the genetic pool. But you're right, we need to be vigilant about maintaining diversity as we push for rapid improvement. The sustainability question is particularly intriguing. On one hand, Captain's improved feed efficiency and reduced environmental impact show that rapid genetic deployment can contribute to sustainability. On the other hand, we need to ensure that in our rush for improvement, we're not creating unforeseen problems down the line.
Absolutely, Douglas. It's a complex landscape, and STgenetics has shown that success in modern dairy breeding requires a multifaceted approach. It's not just about having good genetics. It's about having the right genetics, deploying them rapidly, and continuously innovating to stay ahead of the curve. For our listeners, the takeaway is clear. The speed of genetic deployment is now a critical factor in dairy breeding. Whether you're a large-scale operation or a small family farm, understanding and adapting to this new paradigm is essential for future success.
Couldn't agree more, Bella. As we wrap up, let's leave our listeners with this thought. The genetic revolution led by STgenetics isn't just changing dairy farming, it's reshaping the future of food production. It's making the impossible possible and the future accessible today.
Well said, Douglas. To all our listeners, stay informed, stay adaptable, and don't be afraid to embrace this new era of rapid genetic deployment. The future of dairy is here, and it's moving faster than ever before. Are you ready to keep up?
Thanks for tuning in to the Bullvine Podcast. Until next time, keep pushing those boundaries and striving for excellence in your breeding programs.
And remember, in the world of modern dairy genetics, it's innovate or evaporate. The future waits for no one, especially not in this industry. Stay sharp, stay informed, and most importantly, stay ahead of the curve. The genetic revolution is here. Don't get left behind.
Thank you for tuning in to the Bullvine Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's insightful discussion. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Catch you next time on the Bullvine Podcast, where bovine expertise and community come together.